All right, and we are live. Welcome everybody to another weekly live stream, our weekly cruise news recap. We do have a packed show today. We do have a lot of stuff to talk about. Lots of good news in the industry and lots of interesting news in the industry. My cat has already decided to jump up here, trying not to have her knock over all my equipment that I've got up here. But yeah, we had a lot of interesting news, a lot of good news for the most part in the industry this week. Looks like we do have a couple people already in the chat. We've got Tyler, Best of Boat Worlds. We even do have Alex61695 just popped up, said what's up. How's it going? But yeah, so while we kind of wait for a couple more people just to kind of start joining in, we'll kind of recap. We got a little bit of news on an all-new cruise line from MSC, or I guess like a kind of like a, it's not much like a, I guess a spin-off brand for the most part, but it's definitely like a kind of a new cruise line for the most part. We'll dive into those a little bit. We got some announcements of ships that are returning to service finally. Please don't step on the keyboard. There's a couple cruise lines returning to service, a couple cruise ships returning to service. So that's really exciting. As Best of Boat Worlds actually mentioned in the chat just a minute ago while we were waiting to get going. Says T-minus 8 minutes until Adventure of the Seas departure. So that should be happening about now from the, I've actually got the webcam kind of like off in the side here on kind of watching it as I kind of talk to you guys a little bit. But yeah, so Adventure of the Seas is going to get going today. She is actually should be setting sail very soon. From what the webcam looks like on my screen here, it looks like she's not quite ready. The gangways are still out, so maybe the should be getting sailing or getting going very shortly though, which is really exciting. There's actually a lot of content creators that are on that cruise right now, or that getting on that cruise today. So, or lots of cruise YouTubers that are on that ship today. So it'll be really exciting to see all the videos to come from all of them. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get on, but anyways, and yeah, as Alex61695 says, Millennium goes for her next cruise today. We did have a bit of a scare on board her earlier this week that we'll dive into. Oh boy, here we go. There's like all the stuff on the desk, and she's trying to walk around on the desk, and like she's either gonna fall over or she's gonna knock it all over. So I'm trying to prevent both of those from happening. But anytime I'm sitting at my desk and like talking at anything, like if I'm working or anything like that, she is right on top of the desk. So, but yeah. Anyways, so kind of want to first talk about Mardi Gras a little bit. Mardi Gras is still sitting over in Port Canaveral. I was trying to go actually over to see her this weekend and ended up falling through. I wasn't able to get the time off of work. I wasn't able to get time off of work, unfortunately, so I wasn't able to get down there. But she is still sitting in the port anyways, so it's not like she was moving at all. But oh boy, yeah, that was a good catch though, wasn't it? She was gonna land right on top of the keyboard and probably rip everything out. So it's a nice catch. But let's see. George says put a link in the chat for the webcam. Yeah, I'll do that. I will pin that comment. Unfortunately, like I wish I could share it with you guys, but the company PTZ TV, the people that have the webcam, they are very strict about their copyrights on that, and they will go after you if you show off even like a screenshot of their live feeds or anything like that, and they will go after you. So I know some people that learn the hard way from that. So, but I will link that in the chat here for you guys if you guys want to keep an eye on that as well. So there it is, and pin. Perfect. So yeah, Port Nassau webcam, awesome. Anyways, so yeah, Mardi Gras is still sitting over in Port Canaveral. Odyssey of the Seas that came in right after her actually is now in, I guess she's not in Fort Lauderdale anymore, but she came into Fort Lauderdale just a few days ago in order to start getting ready for her test cruises. That way she can sail in July, like she's scheduled to on July 3rd. So maybe I might do a ship spotting trip in early July as well. I've got so much vacation time accumulated at work just because I haven't done anything lately. So I kind of want to put some of that to use a little bit. But yeah, Odyssey of the Seas is now officially in her home of Fort Lauderdale, which is really exciting. I think she was there with the Edge earlier. I think Captain Kate, she's the captain on board the Edge. I had like a cool time lapse video of it. So very exciting. Let's see. But when is Mardi Gras supposed to leave Cape Canaveral? She's supposed to leave, from what I've been told and from what I've been hearing, it's the 18th, which is this coming Friday. So she's got a couple more days until she leaves. I'm not really sure where she's going. She's probably just going to kind of sit out off the coast a little bit, or she may even start some of her test cruises as well, because she is going to be one of the ships that gets up and running. I think she starts up July 31st, which is really exciting. So yeah, but yeah, she's not supposed to. She's pretty much going to be sitting for almost like 2 full weeks before she heads out on the 18th, which is kind of weird, but really, I mean, also really exciting that she's even here in the first place. You know, just kind of further proves that we're getting closer and closer every day to cruising returning to service, which is really exciting. But let's touch on the MSC. The new MSC cruise line, or like their new sub brand, if you want to call it that. But if you guys do have any questions for me, make sure you drop them in the chat. If you do enjoy today's stream, make sure you do leave a like. It does help out the channel a lot. Helps out the video, lets YouTube know that you guys like my content. That way you can share it with, and they can kind of show more people the content. So anyways, Travel with Nick says, hey Brandon, do you have any plans to sail on Adventure or Royal Caribbean soon? Adventure of the Seas, no. My thing, I guess, with Adventure of the Seas is the cruise itself is a fairly decent deal. It's a little pricey just because of the demand is so insanely high right now. But the issue with me was that the airfare over to Nassau was extremely expensive for me. Delta going out of Atlanta was a lot to get down to Nassau, so Adventure is a little too expensive just because of the airfare trying to get down to Nassau. But Royal Caribbean, I took a couple looks at the Odyssey on July 3rd. It ended up, I think I looked at July 3rd Odyssey cruise, and it was like $5,000 for 2 people at a balcony, which was a little too far out of my price range, especially just for 2 people. But I've been trying to look for something. Mardi Gras is gonna be up and running on my birthday in August, so that's what I'm really gunning for. I wish if I can get somebody to go, that'd be really great to sail on Mardi Gras for my birthday. Yeah, I'm sure flights are surging to Nassau because of the Adventure. Yeah, they definitely are. I'm surprised I think Norwegian Cruise Line, when actually they were originally supposed to sail out of the Caribbean ports, they were trying to get things set up with some of the airlines, because the Norwegian already offers the airfare as kind of like included into the cruise fare a little bit, or they kind of like factor that into your cruise fare. So I think they were working with airlines as well, trying to get better prices for some of those Caribbean sailings, but they ended up not ever happening anyways. So that's I guess it kind of worked out for the better, if you want to say that. But yeah, the airfare to get out to some of the Caribbean ports was just pretty crazy. Let's see. Rock says, my parents boarded the Adventure of the Seas today. Flew Delta from Atlanta. Was about $350 per person through Royal. Okay, that's not terrible. I mean, the 350's not bad. That's quite a lot, especially out of Atlanta going to I guess like going to like Orlando sometimes that'll be like 100, 150. So like 350's 350 is not terrible. I guess it was just a little out of my range, but I hope they have a great cruise. I have the link that I've got pinned up in the chat here is for the Port of Nassau webcam. So if you want to watch them leave as well, definitely you can have two things set up at once. But she should be leaving soon. She was supposed to leave around 6. From what I was showing, or what the thing is showing for me, she is not quite ready to go. She's still got her gangways out, unless it's just not loading for me. Let me just double check. Okay, yeah, she's still sitting there. Gangways are out. Looks like they're still just getting last few stragglers on. So she should be leaving anytime soon, though, which would be really exciting. Very exciting. And speaking of ships leaving soon, we do have the Millennium that was mentioned earlier today. We did have quite a scare this week with her very first sailing. We had 2 passengers did end up with COVID on board. And luckily, from what it seems like, the protocols worked, and so it was only limited to those 2 passengers that ended up testing positive. So it seemed like out of everybody on board, those 2 passengers were actually in the same stateroom, so that is likely probably how they got it to begin with. But with the fact that only 2 people out of the entire cruise ended up testing positive, I feel like it kind of goes to show that the protocols that they put in place do work. Because I think there was an article, or somebody was interviewed about it, and they said, it's not 100% that you're going to be, you're not going to get it once you've been vaccinated. So, the chance of it happening on board, or 1 or 2 cases popping on board, it can happen. It's not as likely as it was, when everything first started. But, it may pop up here and there, 1 or 2 cases, but overall the protocols are in place to where, it shouldn't be as bad, and it won't be as bad if something like that were to happen, which is what we ended up seeing, luckily, with Celebrity Millennium. But even with those 2 cases, she ended up, she got back into St. Martin this morning. That's where she is sailing out of, and she was able to turn around and is now leaving. She left with a new set of passengers for another 7-day Southern Caribbean sailing. So very, very, very good that she was able to get turned around and start going again. We got another question in the chat, or more in the chat here. It says, I heard businesses in Nassau are now raising their prices since they know more people will be traveling there. Yeah, it's that's definitely something I've noticed, and I'm not surprised by it. It's just everything is so in demand for the cruisers trying to get there that it's bound to happen. So it's unfortunate that it's happening, but I guess I see why. It is Nassau. I wouldn't put it past them too much, but the travel industry as well is just trying to recover in general. So people are going to pay the prices regardless, especially if they've already got their cruise fare booked. If anybody's watching the webcam here, it looks like they've got a couple people that are actually heading up in the gangways on the wheelchairs. But, okay, Rock says, spotted them on the live from a travel blogger on YouTube earlier. It was fun. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, there's a lot of YouTubers that are on that cruise today. It's I'm not sure exactly like how many, or who exactly is on there, but I've seen several that we're posting pictures today. I was like, wow, there's a lot of you guys on there. So really exciting. There's definitely going to be a lot of content to be watched from that first sailing on board adventure. So I'm surprised nobody's on the Millennium, actually. But I guess she's also further away in St. Martin, and she's also not, the mainline cruise line like Royal Caribbean is, even though Celebrity is still one of the major ones. Let's see. Alex says, one of the vloggers mentioned in their stream that there are a few passengers who had issues with flights and were coming in late to the ship. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Especially with it being the first sailing, it's bound to happen. So, she may not even leave for another hour or 2. Who knows? But stuff like that is just bound to happen, especially with the cruises have never happened out of Nassau before, so the flights in general and just the overall logistics, it wouldn't be a perfect thing the very first time through for sure. So hopefully they are able to get going soon though. But yeah, I do want to jump over into MSC's new cruise line, if you want to call it that. It is Explora Journey is the name of the cruise line, or it's Explora Cruises basically. So basically, it's an all-new luxury brand operated by MSC. They look like MSC ships. I think the logo is actually on the funnel. Okay, actually, just got the chat. Rock says, Salo is now supposed to be at 9 p.m. Okay, so we got a little bit more time for... so we'll have a little bit more time till she sets sail. But yeah, the new MSC brand Explora Journey is going to be an all-new cruise line, like a very luxurious cruise line. They ended up ordering a total of 4 ships, and that entire project or that entire order is costed about $2 billion. So each of these ships were going to be about 500,000 or 500 million a piece. Yeah, 500 million a piece is what I meant to say. 500,000 is like nothing for a cruise ship. But yeah, so about 1,000 passengers and 64,000 tons, which is actually a lot larger than what I thought. I thought these were going to be ships about the size of maybe like Viking, but they ended up being more. These are actually, I mean, they're smaller, but for a size reference, we're looking at about the size of the Fantasy class from Carnival, just a little bit smaller than that. But the ships are a lot larger than I thought they would be, just going off of that photo that they provided. But the ships themselves looks really, really great and really nice. So definitely want to keep an eye on that. I think the first one is set sail, is named the Explora 1. So maybe, I hope they don't do that, but it's the Explora 1. Maybe they'll do the Explora 2, 3, 4. I would hope or I guess my hope is that they do something more adventurous with the names and be a little more creative than just 1, 2, 3, and 4, basically. But yeah, so the first one will come out in 2023. These are being built by Fincantieri, a longtime shipbuilder for Carnival, and they are now building the Project Leonardo ships for Norwegian Cruise Line. But 2023, 2024, 25, and 26 is when all these ships will be coming out. So pretty much one a year over the next couple of years, which is really cool. So shouldn't take overall too long to build these because they're a lot smaller than what we're used to having built now. But we did have, I guess the big announcement is when they unveiled all this is the steel cutting ceremony for Explora 1. So the first one is officially under construction now, so definitely am going to be following along that. I may even do just like a video maybe sometime this week or maybe in the near future of where we just kind of do a deep dive into like all the real details on the ships, because I don't really have too much, just got a couple bullet points for me for the stream. So maybe I'll do like a video on that with like a deep dive into these ships and going over everything that these are going to have to offer, because they do look really, really nice. Alex says, those are lazy names to call ships. I'm looking forward to TUI cruises. Oh, I'm looking at you, TUI cruises, and your mind shifts. Yes, so like TUI cruises they're like a German cruise line. They're like Mein Schiff 1, Mein Schiff 2, 3, 4. I don't know how many there are now, but pretty much, yeah, they're all named the same thing except 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So yeah, hopefully they get a little more creative with the name, but from what it sounds like with Explora 1, it doesn't sound like they are going to be. It sounds like it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. But that's okay. They look like great ships, though. They look really nice. And then here I've got my bullet points about the adventure. We kind of talk about that a little bit more. So those are going to be fully vaccinated cruises. Even though Royal Caribbean came back on their thing on the vaccination policies for like Florida, the sailings out of Nassau and over in Seattle as well. Those are all still only going to be vaccine cruises, whereas Florida is going to be majority vaccine, but they're not going to be absolutely requiring it to sail on board. But actually, we did have Carnival was the same way. They said they're going to do 95% vaccinated, but I think they saw I guess the 2 cases that came out on the Millennium, and they actually came back on that, and they're like, we're going to just do fully vaccinated now. So that's kind of good. It just eliminates the risk for them. I know there's still a big debate with, the Florida government and all that, trying to get everything straightened out with that, with all the fines and the, penalties for requiring vaccines and stuff like that. I see both sides, but I think overall the CDC is requiring them to require those vaccines, and I think that that should be a loophole in that ruling. So we'll see what comes out of that, but we still have about another couple weeks, about a month and a half until we see our first sailings out of the state of Florida, which is exciting. But we do have a little bit of time before we see more issues, or more answers to all that stuff going on with Florida and the CDC. Same with Texas. Texas came out with basically the same ruling a couple days later. So, not necessarily required yet not required in Texas sailings either. But, we'll see how all that goes as we get a little bit closer to sailing. Brandon Mills is in the chat. Hello. How's it going? Good to see you in the chat here. Good to see you made it to the stream. So for the adventure, it's the fully vaccinated cruises. And if you're not old enough, so like those that are like younger kids and things like that, you do not need vaccine, or you're not to be vaccinated. So that's, I guess you're not able to get one as a small child. So I guess it kind of makes sense. But most other cruise lines, I think Carnival and Norwegian, I know Norwegian definitely, I'm not sure about Carnival, pretty much is like, sorry, it's just vaccinated. So if you're not old enough to get the vaccine, you can't quite make it on board yet. So I understand that too as well. So everybody seems to have their own different rulings and different decisions that they've made on this. So we will have to see how everything pans out. Let's see. Brandon says, should I book the MSC Divina, Mariner of the Seas, or Carnival Sunrise for September? Oh, that's a good question. I've never sailed with MSC, so I'm not too sure. I think she's gonna be sailing out of Port Canaveral then, which is exciting. That'll be the first ship for MSC out of Canaveral. Divina looks like a really, really nice ship. MSC typically has more. They look more upscale, luxurious cruise ships. Although their prices are fairly good for a luxury cruise line, if you ask me. But Mariner of the Seas is a very nice ship. My parents went on that right before the pandemic, late 2019. They liked the Mariner a lot. I actually have a video on there, so maybe kind of dig a little bit into my channel, but you could find that video in there. It's just one single video, unlike my normal vlogs. But I wasn't on the cruise, so I didn't get to film like normal. But I actually gave my parents basically a couple GoPros and was just like, hey, yeah, just film around the ship. I'll post it on YouTube or whatever. But Sunrise looks like a great ship as well. I haven't sailed on her either, but I did sail on her as Triumph. I've been on Sunshine twice, so that's about as close as I'll get to sailing on Sunrise. But Sunrise looks really, really good. With not having been on Divina, I would probably pick Mariner because she's a bigger ship, and but Sunrise is also a really, really good ship as well. I would only pick Mariner just because she's the bigger ship and she does have a lot to offer on board. But both her and Sunrise had recently had like huge renovations done in 2019. So I think Mariners was actually in 2018, but Sunrise got like the huge overhaul and got renamed and everything in early 2019. Best of boat worlds. Would you sail on American Cruise Line? I would probably look into it. They're definitely a smaller cruise line. Actually, funny story. I worked with somebody at Disney that I actually saw that she posted like on Facebook maybe about a month ago. But she is now, I believe, a cruise director on one of the American Cruise Line ships. But those sail, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those sail between like South Carolina and and Florida, right? Down along the coast, like through Savannah and things like that, I believe. But but yeah, that was kind of like a funny story. I hadn't talked to her in like forever, but I just saw something on Facebook recently, and she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be a cruise director on American Cruise Line." So, but yeah, I would definitely look into it. I mean, it would definitely be a lot different because they're more very small ships, more almost like a river cruise almost, but they're more, I guess, a coastal cruise. But yeah, I'd look into it. I'm not sure if I would sail on them anytime soon though, but yeah, I'd definitely look into it. They were one of the first ones to actually sail out of the U.S. too, which is I guess after the pandemic. Alex says Mariner looks like a great ship. Never sailed on her, but was on the older Explorer of the Seas, and that was a great ship. Yeah, Explorer is very similar. She was actually supposed to get all the upgrades that Mariner got in early 2020, but of course everything kind of fell through. There was so many ships that were actually in like heading into dry dock or going over into the like on their way into dry docks to have huge refurbishments done like in that month, about March and April of 2020 last year. There was a lot of ships that were having things done to them, or like big overhauls, big renovations done to them. So but a lot of those ended up getting canceled. But the Carnival Radiance is still now the Carnival Victory. But I guess I've seen a photo recently of the Carnival Radiance is now the name on the side of the ship, which is exciting, but she's not entered that dry dock. So she's really just been sitting there in the water, just like rusting almost for the past year. So hopefully they get working on that soon, especially since we're starting to get up and running again. But she is going to be sailing out of the West Coast, so that's definitely one of the smaller markets for them to get up and running again. So we'll have to see how that all goes. But I would say, because the Symphony of the Seas, I think she's either still in dry dock or she's going to be coming out of dry dock soon. But she's actually over in Cadiz, Spain, having a little bit of work done. Nothing crazy or anything like that. It's just more like general maintenance before she gets cruising again. But so that shipyard in Cadiz, where the Radiance is supposed to be, overhauled basically, that dry dock seems to be up and running now. So maybe she's next, would be my guess, or she would be, hopefully soon. Especially, they actually have the Panorama is going to be up and running out of Long Beach in August. So I think it's August 21st, I believe. So late August. But I'm actually surprised a little bit that the Panorama is going to be sailing out of there so soon. Just because California has always really been the last ones to open up anything. So I was kind of, I kind of figured they would be the last ones to return to cruising or like that, that market in general. But she's going to be sailing on August 21st so far out of Long Beach. So that's really exciting. Let's see. Explorer was supposed to get all of those slides. I guess Explorer and Voyager in the last two ships to get the upgrades. So yeah, Explorer was pretty much on her way. Voyager got all the upgrades, I think, in late 2019. She even got like the blue hull, like the Freedom did in her dry dock that she had right before the pandemic. But Voyager's had all her work done. The Explorer she was pretty much on her way. I think she was going to be docked up in France is where they were going to do her dry dock. But she hasn't gotten any of that yet, but she was supposed to originally. And I think the Adventure is actually supposed to get all of that. I think she was supposed to get it this year. I don't know if it's been, pushed off for a while, but who knows. But yeah, there's a lot of ships that were supposed to get upgrades, so we'll have to see what comes out of all that. And I guess, because they're all pretty much going to be rescheduled. It'll all happen, but with everything, with all the shutdowns and just because if it was so, money was just so tight with the cruise lines, all of those, where they weren't as important because the ships weren't sailing at the moment. So we'll see all those, still get all the upgrades and everything like that, but it won't be, immediate. Because we definitely do see the ships are starting to head back in dry dock now. Like I mentioned, I mean the Symphony's over there getting a little bit of work done. I think the Allure just was over there maybe a month or two ago. And then, of course, we have the Carnival Magic that just got all like, I don't think it was anything too crazy besides like the new hull paint that she got, which looks fantastic. If you haven't seen pictures of the Carnival Magic lately after her dry dock, she's got the blue hull like the Carnival Mardi Gras does, and it looks amazing. That's a really, really nice ship, and she looks great with it. The only difference really is that the kind of like how the name is gold on the Mardi Gras, the name is white actually in that little blue portion of the hull. The name is white for Carnival Magic, so it looks really good though. I'm a huge fan of it, and I think the Glory and the Dream are next. Glory is actually over in France right now. I don't think she's been pulled out of the water quite yet, but she'll be the next one to receive all that blue hull paint. Let's see. There's an American Cruise Line ship that sails up the Hudson River in New York. Saw one of their ships docked in New York City a few times. Okay, yeah, I think they've got several different ships. I'm not sure exactly where. I'm not very familiar with American Cruise Line, so that's probably, I'm not sure where a lot of these are. But yeah, I think they're more, kind of like coastal cruises and river cruises for the most part. The blue hull paint is going to look so strange on the Spirit and the Fantasy class ships. Yeah, I am really interested to see it. I think it won't look terrible, but it's just going to be strange seeing those ships like that, because it like the new ships like the Vista and Dream class, just I think they look great with it, but I'm not sure about the smaller ones or anything like that. But I'm interested to see. I'm excited to see it, but I'm not. Yeah, it's gonna be strange seeing those, especially because they're just so old. But I guess there's only like four. There's only 4 fantasy ships now, so it's really not even a huge thing. There's not even a whole lot of those that are even gonna have to be painted like that. But Best of Boat World says, fun fact: they built all the ships in the ACL fleet in my hometown. ACL Melody is set to sail from the shipyard July 31st. They're trying to market to younger people now. Okay, that's really cool. That's really cool. I wish seeing a ship being built like that, even with small ones like ACL, that would be really cool to like watch those being built. Actually, something I really want to do at some point is the Meyer Werft shipyard, where they build like the Quantum class ships. All the Breakaway Plus ships came from. They've got like that big building hall where they build all the ships in, but there's like a big, almost like a museum, and like the glass, like you can actually walk, or not walk, but you can like actually look into the shipyard and like watch them build some of the ships. So I've always wanted to do that and kind of like tour that place. But I've also kind of wanted to like time it right to where I get to see like a float out of when they pull that giant ship out of that shipyard. So I would love to do that one day. Germany is a really neat place, and I'd love to go visit there. But definitely would love to see. I think it'd be really, really neat just to see like a cruise ship being built, or any sort of ship, really. Let's see. Word on the street is that Mardi Gras is leaving tomorrow to dump gray water at PC tomorrow. Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. She probably just head right back out and then be back in like within the next day or so. Dang, I'm even more like I'm even more upset that I couldn't go this weekend now. It was literally going to be a last minute trip, so it was really hard for me to get the time off work. My boss was like, it's just too last minute to approve it. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to. But maybe in early July, I could try to time something. I'd rather go on a cruise, but I'd love to do some ship swatting if that's like the only option. But I really want to see Mardi Gras. Just in general, I would love to see Mardi Gras, especially because I missed her coming in. But speaking of restarts, I'm kind of got like some bullet points of just some of the ships that are going to be up and running soon. For July, we have the Freedom of the Seas is going to be sailing the short sailings out of Miami. We do have July 3rd, the day after Freedom of the Seas, is going to be the Odyssey. She's going to be doing the 6, 7, 8 night sailings out of Fort Lauderdale, which is, I think, actually what she was supposed to do originally. It just wasn't the right time of year. Originally, Odyssey was supposed to do the winters in Fort Lauderdale, and then over in the Mediterranean, the Greek Isles, over in the in the summers here in the U.S. Tyler says the access you get from Cruise Terminal 3 is amazing. Yeah, I think I said this in my stream last week, but the last time I was actually in Port Canaveral was for the Liberty videos that I did, but that terminal was just like a few poles in the ground. Like, I have not been to Port Canaveral in so long. It was so I would love to see that terminal. It looks amazing. You know, it's nothing like, actually, well, it's really neat looking. I guess it's not like the huge glass terminals like we're seeing in Port of Miami or anything like that with Royal and Norwegian. But Cruise Terminal 3 looks amazing, especially because when you're sitting at Jetty Park, that little park like alongside the channel there, that's where I do all the ship spotting from, and it's really, really neat. It looks like you get really close up to the ship, even like from Jetty Park. That's just, I guess the boat ramp is really the only thing that separates it. So yeah, I'm dying to get back over to Port Canaveral to do some ship spotting. The last time I actually did some true ship spotting from Jetty Park was, I guess, December of 2018. I did a little bit of ship spotting in Canaveral before the Liberty, but it wasn't from Jetty Park. It was like a huge line, and because we pretty much got off the breeze for the tour that day and had to like pretty much book it around the corner and head over to Jetty Park, but there was a long line, so we ended up kind of like over by Grill's Tiki Bar, where like a restaurant basically that's on the channel there. We ended up filming that video from there, so I haven't done any ship spotting from Port Canaveral in a really long time. Actually, the last time I did it, though, it was for the Epic. This was like early December of like 2018. It's like one of the last times, I guess, I did it when I was down at Disney. But I actually saw a rocket launch that morning, so it was like I don't remember what rocket it was, but it was like, I think I was getting ready like the day before, like getting all my camera equipment ready to go to do ship spotting the next day, and then I get a text and it's like, hey, did you see that there's gonna be a rocket launch tomorrow? I'm like, oh, well, I'm getting to Port Canaveral a lot earlier than I thought, because I was originally gonna show up at like 2:00 since it was like a 4:00 departure, and she was the only one there. So I usually just like run around the terminals a little, or like kind of drive by the terminals a little bit, and then just head to Jetty Park. I was like, I guess I'm just going to get there really early and watch the rocket launch. So that's actually in the video too. So if you guys want to go check that out, it's deep into my channel now just because of how long it's been. But yeah, that was really cool. That was one of the better ship spotting, or I guess one of the most fun ship spotting times I've done. But yeah, especially, I think that was like one of the only few times I did Epic. Epic left super late that day. And because I think she was supposed to leave at 4, and there was basically like a big Disney college program, like formal event that night too. So it was so that was at like, I think 7:30 or 8:00, and so I was out ship spotting that day, and then Epic was late. I was like minutes from leaving, but Epic didn't end up leaving until like 6-ish, 6:00 or so, and then so basically by the time she like left, it was almost like 6:30, 6:45, and so I had to like book it from Port Canaveral back to Orlando just to where I could get to that like formal on time, which I made it, which is really really good, but yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm cutting it close on time, but yeah, I was like a couple minutes from having to leave. But luckily I was able to get Epic that day. Best of Boat World says, word on the street is that ACL has been scoping out Ocean City, Maryland. In the last couple months, I've seen a couple ACL personnel in the area. Very weird. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, they seem to be growing quite a bit. I think they've got, like you said, they've got a new ship, so maybe they just kind of scoping out what parts of the U.S. they should sail out of. But yeah, that would be a really cool area to sail out of. Tyler says the park next to Cruise Terminal 3, the Freddie Patrick Park boat ramp, is where I go to see the ships come in. Yes, where I see the ships come in, and as I am cheap. Oh yeah, because it's like $15 or $16 to get into into Jetty Park. So I think over the time I finally am starting to like make my money back from as many times as I gone, but like you get a little tag that like hangs on your mirror basically to show that you've paid to get in. And I've got like a stack like probably that big of just like tags from my like that they give me basically to park there at Jetty Park. So yeah, a ton of definitely spent a little too much money trying to go into Jetty Park, but yeah, I don't blame you. It's expensive to go there, especially a lot. But I think if you go or if you live in Brevard County, which is where the like that county is where Port Canaveral is located. But if you live there, you get like you can get like a season pass. But if you don't live in that county, you don't have the option, which kind of stinks. Because like when I was over in Orlando, I was like, man, if I could just pay the $60 for the yearly pass, I would be there all the time. Or I guess I ended up spending way more than $60 for those parking passes. So I wish they did that for like out of county residents, but yeah, still a lot of money like spending trying to go over there. So I don't blame you at all. I've went to the boat ramp once. I think, yeah, I did the boat ramp once. It was for the drone, and then I quickly realized I wasn't supposed to have the drone up. So that fun fact, I absolutely hated that drone. The drone was so cool to have, but there's so many rules and regulations, especially once you start making money off the video like you do on YouTube. There is unbelievable amounts of regulations and rules when it comes to flying a drone, and it was like, as cool as it was to have, it just was not fun anymore flying. I know like there's a couple YouTubers that have them. I think Tyler, I think you've got a drone, or like one of the Mavic Mini maybe, if that's it. But yeah, it pretty much like kind of like sucked the fun out of everything, is because there are just so many rules with flying drones, and that's why Justin doesn't do it either. He still has his. Mine's gone. But yeah, I haven't flown a drone in forever. Makes for great videos though. So let's see. Tyler says we need an ACL ship based here in South Florida. That'd be really cool. I think you can get a pass now around $108? It's like way over there. Okay. $108 for a season pass. That's not too bad. I mean, especially for somebody that goes all the time, that'd be a great deal, really. Alex says, are you able to park elsewhere and walk to Jetty Park, or everyone has to pay to get in there? I've never tried to get in there. So, yeah, it's basically like a public park almost, but I feel like it's mostly because of the beach access. But I think you still got to pay regardless just to get in. It's like off the main street. There's really not too many sidewalks even to get in there. So I don't know if I would assume that people like walking in would have to pay as well, but I definitely would recommend driving in. But it's most likely, I feel like what you have to pay for is really to park because of the beach access, really. But and they have like all the RV parking there and stuff like that too. They have like a little it's like a mini campground. You can bring like a tent, or even like, I think they've got cabins too. I've looked into the cabins before. Tent camping is not my thing. I don't think I've ever, I think I owned a tent once, and we used a tent once, and did not, I think that was the only time we ever used it. But yeah, I think they've got cabins there too, like in the little camping section of Jetty Park, which is really neat. I've looked into it before. I think Justin and I actually tried to get one of those cabins before the Liberty, but ended up not doing it. I think we ended up just getting a hotel because it was easier. Okay, Tyler says, I got the Mini, and I agree it's a pain to fly at the ports. They have not flown at Port Canaveral. The rules at the port. Yeah, the rules are very strict. I didn't realize there was a Air Force base nearby until, once I was just got it off the ground, and then like one of the people at the port like drove by and is like, you can't do that. And I'm like, oh, well, that stinks. But Port of Miami, you can do it, no problem. The only issue is now that, if once you start making money off of the YouTube videos and stuff like that, You've got to have a license, which is almost that license is basically like getting a legitimate pilot license. So it's like an extremely hard test and stuff like that. So it's almost not even worth it. But if you did have that I think it's like the Part 107 license or something like that. If you have it, you could technically fly at the Port of Miami. You can't fly at Fort Lauderdale though, at Port Everglades, because the airport's so close. But Port of Miami, technically, if you flew from South Point Park, you could technically get away with it. So, but yeah, the drones just weren't worth it. It was really, really cool, but just wasn't worth it in the end. Especially, but Alex said, you have better views at grills, anyways, especially if there's a royal ship docked. Yeah, I love anytime there's a royal ship docked. I would always go over to grills because, like, it's so like there's a big seating area, and then like off to the side, like there's like a little viewing area they have pretty much set up for you. So yeah, I always go over there, especially when the royal ships are in. I think I've seen like Oasis. Actually, I've got pictures of Symphony sitting there whenever like the very first time she came into the U.S. She came into the Port Canaveral, and so I think Justin and I did that. So I've got pictures of her sitting at Cruise Terminal 1 right there. So it's really, really cool. That's like one of the best views you can get at Port Canaveral, and I'm sure the views from Jetty Park and that boat ramp at Cruise Terminal 3 is definitely probably up there with it as well. Let's see. Best of Boat World says I just got the Mavic Air 2, pretty cool drone. Yeah, that looks like a really neat drone. I would those are really cool. I've always wanted the Mavic Air and the Mavic Air 2, but just not. I think maybe in the near future I'll look into getting another drone. But yeah, the Mavic Air 2, anything Mavic or anything DJI is just a really good drone. But let's see. Tyler says yes, West Palm Beach is a good place to drone. No airspace or port restrictions. There's a really cool FPV video of Classica. Oh wow, that's really cool. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you wanted to do like Bahamas Paradise cruises, then yeah, you could definitely do it. Or I guess go down to Palm Beach for sure. Once I move down to Florida, I may try to do that. I may try to go down there at least once just to see the Classica. I wish the Grand Celebration was still sailing with them, but unfortunately she is over in the scrapyard with her sister, the Carnival Holiday, or the former Carnival Holiday. She's the Magellan. But yeah, I might try to go there at least once I move down there. I have no idea when I'm moving down there. I guess November at the absolute latest is when I'm moving down to Florida. I'm still not sure where. I've been trying to go into Tampa, or I guess I've been trying to look into going to Tampa. Orlando is also an option. But so yeah, I guess we'll have to see where I end up going. But definitely, I'd like to try it at least once to go down to Palm Beach to see a Bahamas Paradise cruise. I've always wanted to sail on them too. We actually saw her on the Liberty. She was in Freeport with us with the Mariner, and they look like nice ships for the most part. I mean, I haven't really read too many reviews on them or anything like that, but they seem like they're in decent shape, and nice cruises overall. They seem fairly cheap too, especially. I mean, they're 2-night cruises, but they seem fairly cheap. Travel with Nick said it's weird that the Port Authority in Galveston doesn't let you control your drone in front of the terminal, but you can right next to it, no problem. Yeah, the terminals, I think most ports are like that. I know Miami's extremely strict about flying around the terminals, but when they're like in the channel leaving and stuff like that, there's no problem with it. I think it's just like, especially with like fueling operations and stuff like that, I think is really the huge issue there with the terminals, or flying around the terminals. So, but yeah, there's just a lot of hassle when it comes to flying drones, especially with ship spotting. But yeah, I've wanted to ship spot in Galveston before. I'm just being in Atlanta, it's just so far to go out there. But I'd love to cruise out of there. But ship spotting would be really neat out of there too. Tyler says the Odyssey. Let's see. Odyssey coming at Grills last Friday. It was a popular place to see it if you came in. Even saw Tony there. Sadly, Sadly, I left my GoPro there last time. Oh man, yeah, I've got like, I finally got like two monitors. They sent me like an extra monitor for work, and so like I kind of use that as well with my streaming stuff and my YouTube stuff now. So I've got like two different monitors. So I'm like leaning over because I can't see quite everything. But yeah, that's definitely like especially with Odyssey, that was a huge. That was like a very busy area whenever Symphony was there back in 2018. There was tons of people there. But, that does stink you left your GoPro there. Yeah. Actually, yeah. I haven't left my GoPro. Actually, I came close to leaving my GoPro one time on an excursion. I was on the Carnival Dream in 2015, I think. It was in Cozumel, and I almost left my GoPro basically in the boat. But luckily, we were going onto the beach, so I just told the person, I was like, "Hey, I think I left my GoPro on the boat," and they were able to find it for me later on. But yeah, is a that's a rough feeling whenever you leave your GoPro, especially a GoPro of all things, somewhere. Tyler says, "But the shots you get from the drones are worth the hassle." Yeah, that's definitely true. I guess just for me, since I guess my channel is monetized and everything, I've just got to get my license first before I even look into it. And taking almost like a legitimate pilot's license test is just not on my to-do list at the moment. But definitely would like to get back up and flying a drone again. I had a Spark, the DJI Spark, and it actually just flew away. Like it just completely lost signal, and it either dropped in the lake or I have no idea what happened to it. It was just like I was flying, and then all of a sudden like the screen went black. It said lost signal, and I was like, oh, I have no idea where this is. So I think it dropped. I think it dropped like in a lake in Celebration somewhere. So that wasn't very fun. That was a rough night. The Spark was known for connection issues, though, which is once it happened, I was like, oh, of course this is bound to happen. But yeah, unfortunately, the Spark does no longer live. Travel with Nick says Galveston is a great port to sail from. Yeah, there's a lot of great ships sailing out of there too, especially with the Lure coming very soon. Yeah, I would definitely love to sail out of there soon. Computer Kid says, "Hi, I'm new to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here." See, is it watched your Carnival Horizon thing a long time ago? Oh, very cool. That was fortunately, but unfortunately, that was my last cruise, which was back in, I guess, over 2 years ago now. I absolutely loved the Carnival Horizon. So, if you're sailing on her soon, she would be a great ship to go on. One of the ships I was looking overall to go on soon. Okay, it says, what was your review on it? So I absolutely love the Carnival Horizon. She is hands down my favorite Carnival ship I've been on. I've been on Carnival 23 times. Not 23 different ships, but 23 times I've sailed with Carnival, including the Horizon. She is hands down my favorite. The only ship I feel like that would rival it is maybe the Mardi Gras, which is kind of explanatory there, just because she is so much larger and she also just has a roller coaster on board. So, absolutely loved the Horizon. Says I watched it because I was on the cruise around the same time as you were. Yeah, I think my only complaint was actually that I got ripped in the comments on this video for it. But and Ocho Rios, I was just not a fan of Ocho Rios. I didn't like it. My family was actually like being followed a little bit by some of the locals, which was really uncomfortable. But I kind of like mentioned towards the end of the video, I was just like, I didn't like this place at all. And some people were like, how dare you, and things like, it's like the one time I was ever negative about anything on this channel, I got ripped for it. So, but overall, I mean, besides Ocho Rios, You got some really cool areas to take pictures of the ships, but overall, I just my there was some locals were kind of like following my family. They were very aggressive a little bit, yeah, the I would say if you're gonna go to Ocho Rios though, I would definitely try to look into maybe going on an excursion there. The only real thing that we were able to find was like the Duns River Falls, and my grandparents were with us, and I don't think that was really having my grandparents climbing on rocks and stuff like that, on waterfalls and stuff like that, was probably not the best excursion to do for all of us, but that really seemed to be the only option as far as excursions in Ocho Rios. So, but yeah, overall, besides Ocho Rios, I would say, I mean, one of my favorite cruises overall too. Um, computer computer kid says, what did you go on the Ligma of the Seas? I'm not Ligma. That's funny. I'm not falling for that. That's good. Alex says Adventure of the Seas is pulling out of Nassau. That's awesome. Let me check the webcam. I haven't checked on that in a while. Where is it? Let me restart. Okay, yeah, she is backing out. Cool. So yeah, anybody that is new in the on the stream here, if you guys do want to check out while we're watching the stream here, if you want to check out the Adventure of the Seas pulling out of Nassau, definitely click on the link that's up in the pinned comment there. You can kind of check that out. But she is on her first sailing after the restart, or I guess the first North American ship for Royal Caribbean, besides the Millennium that was last week. Because he didn't fall for it. Yeah, I've seen plenty of those memes. But it was a good try though. I'll give you that. But, I love those. Are some funny memes. I'm like overall the amount of memes I have in my phone is unbelievable. Like I went to show somebody a picture on my phone one time, and it's literally just like it's tons and tons of cruise ships and then like tons and tons of memes. So like I have no idea. There's like a couple thousand photos on my phone, and they're like mostly memes or pictures of cruise ships, which is funny. Travel with Nick, that's awesome. The Tyler Show. I'm not supposed to say much because I haven't announced it yet. But we're heading down that way too. Oh, very cool. Okay, because Tyler said I'm planning to head to Texas for the summer. Let's see. So I may be able to swing by Galveston if I got free time. Very cool. That'd be awesome. I've got a couple of friends that live over in Texas, but a couple of them live up in Dallas, which is like not even close to Galveston. But I've got a friend in Houston, which isn't too far. So I'd definitely like to head over to Texas at some point. I've sailed out of New Orleans a couple of times, but never out of Galveston. I really only sailed out of New Orleans really just because of like sailing out of the Mississippi River, which is honestly, I think every time I talk about the sailing out of the Mississippi River. Hold on, I just like glanced over here. I don't know if you guys see like the viewer count on the Nassau webcam right now of the Adventure leaving, but it's like at almost 1,200 people are watching that stream right now. That's insane. Like 1,200 is a lot of people, or 200 is a lot of people watching that stream. Like usually, like when it's a big thing, there's like 200, maybe 300 people. I've never seen 1,200 people watching these PTZ cameras before. That's insane. But yeah, it's crazy. Anyways, I completely forgot what I was saying. But yeah, that's awesome. I'm so excited to see that ship going. So if I keep glancing back and forth, I'm either looking at the chat or I'm looking at the departure here. But that's awesome. Yeah, all the major cruise creators on this cruise. Yeah, I don't think Josh Hokum's on there, but yeah, I think like Griff and Alyssa. I think I saw Lalito Loca. Everybody, like a lot of different people on there. But yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome. I'm excited to see just like all the stuff that comes out of this cruise. Um, yeah. Justin wasn't able to go. Justin has to wait like a crazy amount of time before he gets any vacation time in his job. So, but I've got the vacation time. It was just, the adventure was a little too far out of my budget, unfortunately, especially for the first cruise. The first cruise is just crazy expensive for almost everything. What's Alex says it seems like Adventure is getting a lot more attention over the Millennium. Yeah, definitely, she's getting a lot more attention. I feel like mostly because she's sailing in a Nassau, and I think also because Royal Caribbean's just a lot more popular, even though they own Celebrity. That the Royal Caribbean's just a lot more, I guess, mainstream, if you want to call it that, than the Celebrity cruises, especially the Millennium. If it was maybe like the Edge or the Apex or something like that, maybe a little bit more attention. But yeah, especially sailing a little bit closer to home and sailing, I guess, on a little bit more popular ship, yeah, she's definitely getting a lot more attention. But I almost like completely forgot about the Millennium. Like I didn't even know until later on. I think I found out like the day the Millennium left. I was like, oh, that was today. Like it was almost like it just kind of like flew under the radar just a little bit, and then yeah, the Millennium just kind of like flew under the radar, really. Alex says, more fancy non-vloggers sail on Celebrity. Yeah, definitely. I don't see very many vlogs or anything like that from Celebrity Cruises. I actually looked at going on the Apex at one point. It was, I guess it wouldn't have gone anyways because this was like late 2020. I think I was looking at February of this year. So wouldn't have gone, but I'd like to try Celebrity again. The last time I sailed on Celebrity was the Zenith, which was an ungodly amount of time ago. I guess probably, I would say maybe even 15 years ago now, which, it's been so long since the Zenith has even been part of the Celebrity fleet, but it's crazy how long it's been since, because like, I think I sailed on the Celebrity Century, the Millennium, and then the Zenith. So like the Zenith was my 7th cruise I had ever been on. And so like my first 7 cruises, I had been on 3 Celebrities. And then now 35 cruises, I've still been on 3 Celebrities. So it's just have not been on there in quite a while. They haven't had too many ships though being built. They had like the Solstice class. I wanted to go on those when they were new, but I think that was just a time where we were just doing other cruises. I think we were going very heavy on Carnival, reaching platinum with them during that time too. So just never got any of those, and then just haven't had any new ships until the Edge came out in 2018, or was it 2019? I think it was late 2018. I don't even remember anymore. But yeah, it's been quite some time. I'd like to sail with them again, especially in the Edge class. Let's see. Well, the Adventure is closer to the U.S., and that's why more vloggers are on it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so much easier to get to Nassau. As much as a hassle it is to get to Nassau, it's so much easier to get there than it is for St. Martin. St. Martin is just so far away. ABC had a reporter on the Millennium for the first sailing. Oh, wow, that's crazy. I'm surprised. I see all these like news reporters like talking about like the cruise industry restarting and stuff like that, and like all the vaccine stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wow, I've never been on a cruise before. That'd be really cool to do. I'm like, all these news reporters, I'm like, I'm surprised some of you guys haven't been on like a cruise before. That's crazy. That's like, it's almost like I always whenever cruising comes up, I like always ask somebody like, oh, like have you been on a cruise before? Like how many cruises you been on? And so like, every now and then I'm like, some people like, oh yeah, I've been on like, 7 or 8. I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. And then, I usually wait a little bit to tell them that I've been on 35 because I don't want to like show them up. But it is crazy that some of the most of the reporters of like I've seen like on some of the news places have been like, oh, I've never been on a cruise before. It's like, wow. It's just surprising to me, I guess. Like sometimes when people haven't been on a cruise before, it's just like they're so popular now. Let's see, what do we got here in the chat? What we need to get is Royal put a webcam in Coco Kate. Now that would be awesome. I would love to do that. I would love to see that. Yeah, Coco Cay overall, I still have not been there. I mean, I guess I've kept trying to go there on different cruises and stuff like that, and I just never have. I just never got around to it. I guess I don't think I was supposed to go on it when I was on I was supposed to be on Symphony last year, but I keep trying to do maybe like a quick cruise over there, which is part of why I was trying to go on I've been looking at going on maybe the Freedom soon whenever she starts up in July. Looks like we got a couple more people popped up in the chat. We've got Cruise and Travels Cruise says, hey everyone, how's it going? Glad you can make it. See if we've got anybody else new. Looks like we got Alex who just said, hey, how's it going? Back into the questions. Adventure of the Seas has departed on its first cruise. Cruises are officially back in in North America. We are back to cruising. Thank God. It's been way too long since we have had a cruise. Let's see what else we got here in the chat. Alex says, yeah, I've only been on 9 cruises. That's nothing compared to... Yeah. Honestly, 9 is quite a bit, though. My grandparents have been on... I think they said they lost count like in the 80s whenever they were cruising. But I think they were coming up on 100 probably like early 2000s or so. Or like I guess late to maybe 2010. So and they do so many cruises every single year, so they're way up there as far as cruise, like how many cruises they've been on, but they have no idea. They always said that like if they knew like how many cruises they had been going on, they definitely would have been keeping count. But yeah, they lost count quite a long time ago. But yeah, I'm just excited to see let me check on the webcam again actually. Okay, she's still turning, so 1,132 people still watching that stream. That is absolutely incredible. Again, it's like, I think maybe 200 is a lot of people watching these webcams. It's crazy. But, yeah, so Alex says, your grandparents must be living the retired life right now. Yeah, they definitely are. They actually moved to Florida in 2019, and they were like, oh yeah, we're going to be so much closer to all the cruises and stuff like that. It's going to be awesome. And then like it was, because they live a little bit outside of Orlando, so they're really close to Port Canaveral. And so it's like, instead of having to fly to all these cruises, they used to have to fly pretty much everywhere to go on their cruises. So it's absolutely insane. Or I guess it's great that they're so much closer, but then of course the shutdowns, and it's like, well, I guess we can't do that anymore, because they had just gotten off the breakaway a couple weeks, like I think the first week of February they were on the breakaway, or they were getting off the breakaway or something like that. But yeah, it was so I got a breakaway model from that. That was really nice. But they were able to drive they drove like less than an hour to go to that cruise, so it's been great for them. Just because of how many... Oh, Belle's back. My cat's back. She is missing the attention. Travel Nick says, that's a lot of cruises. Yeah, they've been on an incredible amount of cruises. Tyler says, too bad it's dark out right now. You can't see it past the lighthouse. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I wish it was kind of a little bit lighter out, but I guess it's just so late. I guess it's 9 o'clock. That's crazy. I didn't realize how dark it was. I usually just I make it really dark in here just so I can put my studio lighting on, and so I just completely forget how how dark it is outside. But because it was bright out whenever I first started the stream. But let's see. But yeah, it's But yeah, so if anybody's got any more questions, I might start. We've been on here over a little bit over an hour, so I'm gonna kind of quickly run through some of the ships that are gonna get up and running again, short, I guess, in the next month or so, month or two. So while I'm doing that, if anybody has any more questions, of course, pop them in the chat, and I'd be happy to answer anybody's questions before we head out for the night. I'll probably do another maybe 10, 15 minutes or so on here. Stop hitting the microphone, jeez. But yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, Freedom of the Seas on July 2nd, Odyssey on July 3rd. The Mariner of the Seas in late August, I think that was the 28th. It was late August. Allure of the Seas, August 8th. Let's see. Symphony of the Seas is the August 14th. That was my birthday, so Independence is out of Galveston on the 15th. I'm surprised they didn't get the Liberty up and running, which is the Galveston ship. Instead, they put the Independence over there. Ovation is going to be sailing Alaska on August 13th. Serenade, July 19th to Alaska. Says, Cats, man, they do what they want when they want. She really does. She is, you guys don't see it now, but she's got more energy than any other cat. She is the most talkative cat that I have ever met in my life. She is crazy. Like, it'd be like 3 a.m, and I'll just hear like her banging up against the walls because she's like just sprinting across the apartment. But how about you? Come here. Okay, she didn't like that, did she? Yeah, she is one of the most talkative cats I've ever met in my life. She is insane. But yeah, that's all for Royal Caribbean. We also had the Harmony of the Seas is actually going Mediterranean, August 15th, which is really, really cool. She's going to be sailing basically between Barcelona and Rome. She's not like staying still. Norwegian, we do have the Norwegian Gem on August 15th. I looked into that one too. August 7th, we have the Encore going over to Alaska. The Encore is originally supposed to be the Bliss. Then they're like exactly the same ship, so they ended up making a change. I think it was just easier for them to get the Encore going than the Bliss, because I think the Encore was in the Philippines at the time, and I think the Bliss was maybe over in, I want to say, the UK or somewhere over in Europe, I want to say. So it was a lot easier for them to get the Encore from the Philippines over to Seattle than the Bliss from the UK over to Seattle. So it was just a lot easier for them to get the Encore up and running out of Seattle instead. So it was pretty much just like a clean change. Pretty much everything is exactly the same on board the Encore. I think Robbie is on the August, I want to say he's actually on the August 7th sailing, I believe. So he's be like one of the first ones on board, which is not surprising. That guy goes on so many Norwegian cruises, it's insane. But we do have late September, we have the Breakaway sailing out of New York City. She was, purpose built for New York City, and then was pulled out of there back in 2018. Now she's kind of been all over the place, but it would be really cool to come back, quote unquote, home to New York City for the Breakaway. I know a lot of people up there in New York loved that ship. And then into Carnival, we have the Breeze. I don't have the dates for any of these. I think the Vista, the Breeze and the Vista are going to be like the first week of July is what I think I think these are all going to be basically like the first week of July. But I wish I put the dates on these. But Breeze is doing the 4 and 5 night short cruises from Port of Galveston. The Vista is doing the 7 nights out of Galveston, which I'm actually surprised they're doing more ships out of Galveston than they are in Miami for the restart, which is really weird. Great for Galveston. Galveston's a huge port for them, and I'm sure Galveston absolutely loves it. But Miami is usually just like the go-to place for everybody. So I'm surprised they didn't have more ships going out of Miami first. But Carnival Horizon is doing the 6, 7, 8 night itineraries from Miami, just like she was normally. That's always really been her thing. I think she was scheduled to do that. She was doing that before the pandemic. She's supposed to do that during the pandemic, and I think even after the for the foreseeable future, basically the Horizon's gonna be doing the 6, 7, and 8 night cruises. Even after the Carnival celebration gets into Miami, she's still gonna be there. I was surprised. I thought she was maybe gonna move to make room for the celebration, but she's apparently staying. So very interesting. But so basically, the week-long cruises for the Horizon as normal. Then they have the Miracle that is going to get up and running on Seattle, doing these 7-night cruises, which is really cool. So more Alaska cruise ships, which is great. I think they were probably the hardest hit market as far as the U.S. and like anywhere in North America when it came to being affected by COVID and like all the cruise line shutdowns. So I'm really happy to see all the ships sailing out of Alaska, or I guess out of Seattle for Alaska. I think Carnival Freedom was originally supposed to be the Alaska ship for 2021, but she is obviously over here in Florida. So it was just easier because the Miracle is over on the West Coast already. So it was just easier for them to get that ship up and running. Kind of like how the Encore was easier to get up and running, easier than the Bliss to get running out of Seattle. So she's going to do the 7-night itineraries out of Seattle for Alaska. And unlike Royal Caribbean, they are going to be fully vaccinated cruises for Norwegian and Carnival. I've been talking so long, it's like hard to talk anymore. Let's see, we got a couple more chats in here. Alex says, I'm from New York City, never sailed on the Breakaway, and it seems like everyone I know has sailed on her at least once. Yeah, I feel like because she was up there for pretty much 5 years almost, and so a lot of people were able to sail on her. Robbie that I mentioned earlier, I feel he's been on that ship like 20 times or something like that. Like, I'm not even exaggerating either. I think he's been on that ship like 20 times. It's absolutely crazy. It says, I did sail on the Gem, though, who isn't a stranger to New York City. Yeah, she's been sailing out of New York City quite a lot, too. Back my first time when I was working at Disney, she was actually the ship that would do, during the summer, she would do the 7 nights that went into Canaveral and to the Bahamas. Normally in the summer, like, the New York ships will go out over Bermuda, but they had the Gem sailing over to Port Canaveral in the Bahamas. So I went to see her a couple times when she would arrive in Port Canaveral. That was back in 2017. So, but yeah, she's definitely not a stranger to New York City for sure. She's there a lot. I think she's kind of between there and Boston too, for the Canada and New England season. Speaking of Norwegian, while we're talking about that, so I've got everything laid out, and I should have the 2022 ship deployment video for Norwegian Cruise Line. I had the Carnival one go out way long time ago, and I just kind of took a break for a little bit. But I just have to really record the 2022 ship deployment video for Norwegian at this point. So that should be coming out hopefully in the next maybe couple days, maybe Monday or Tuesday. Is my goal. Let's see. Also, if you guys watch my most recent video, I do have a green screen now, which is pretty sweet. I picked that up for like $10 off of Amazon, so it was like $30, and I had like a credit on my account, so I ended up paying like $12 for it. So I was like, this is awesome. So definitely gonna be having a lot of fun with the green screen a little bit. It came with it was like a big blanket basically, and it came with like all the poles and stuff like that to set it up. I was like, this is awesome. So yeah, definitely gonna be having some fun with the green screen soon. But let's see, Travel with Nick Vista is July 3rd, Breeze July 15th, I believe. Okay, yeah, I think that sounds about right. I wish for some reason I just didn't put the dates, so I went back to look at my video and I was like, well, I didn't put the dates in the video either. Well, this stinks. And this was like kind of last minute, so I was like, well, I'll just kind of it's all the first week basically. Second week of July is when all those are going to get going. I think the Horizon is going to be, I think she's sailing July 4th. I think is the day, and I think the Miracle is shortly after that as well. Let's see. Alex says, yes, the cruise I did on the gym was the 7-night Canaveral, Great Stirrup Key, Nassau. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much the one I would usually go ship spot whenever she would come into Canaveral a couple of times in 2017. So she's a very nice ship. I would love to do a ship tour on her sometime, but ship tours are not a thing for quite a while, unfortunately. But anyways, so yeah, with that being said, thank you to everybody that okay, Travel Nick says Horizon was July 4th. That was a good guess. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's live stream. Couple exciting videos coming out this week. I think I'm going to do a deep dive onto the new MSC cruise line that they just announced. Like I mentioned just a minute ago, the 2022 ship deployments for Norwegian Cruise Line will be going out soon. Try to do maybe Royal Caribbean, maybe the week after or so. And then I want to do like a mini series on some of the details we got on Norwegian Prima. So lots of exciting videos to come in the foreseeable future in the next couple weeks. So anyways, thanks to everybody that tuned in. We had a lot of people tune in today, which is really exciting. But with that said, I will see you all next week for another live stream. We'll do it again Saturday night, 8 p.m. on, yeah, like I said, every Saturday night, 8 p.m. We'll try to do a live stream. If anybody wants to continue talking about cruises, on tomorrow, I will do another stream on my my gaming channel that I do. That I haven't touched that channel since probably 2 months ago. So maybe I'll just like randomly stream on there tomorrow night. And so if anybody wants to tune in, I'll do 8 o'clock again on the other channel. So link for that is, I believe, in the description. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next week.